Okay, welcome everyone. It is 2 o'clock. It is August 20th, 2024. Welcome to our 2 p.m. Commissioner Consent Agenda meeting. Please let the record reflect that there was no written comment received for any items on today's agenda, and we will be taking 5N separately. So with that, I am going to ask us all to rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so our next item is our open public forum, and I have 4 people that have signed up. So I will just go in, it's not in any particular order, probably the ones I just received most recent. So Levi Skeen. If you're yes, you can go. I can put you. Oh, no worries. I will make you last then. So then I will start with Craig Voldesing. And if you just state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
I'm Craig Voldesing, 520 North Grove Road, Spokane, Washington. Good afternoon, everyone. I am a West Plains resident, and as you are undoubtedly aware, we on the West Plains are facing a troubling future. This troubling future is not limited to the matter of PFAS poisoned water. We are facing other threats to the health and safety of our community. These include wetland destruction and accompanying disregard for comprehensive regulation and planning for the increasing volume of contaminated runoff and stormwater. We also face uncertainties about the quantity of our water supplies. Also, we see no plans to set aside land for parks and other green space north of I-90. As we wrestle with these problems, there is a question being posed more and more frequently by West Plains residents. Where is the Board of County Commissioners in these crises that we are grappling with? Though increasing the Board of County Commissioners from 3 to 5 members with a corresponding increase in districts, a move it would seem that would enhance representative government, we seem to have less representation. There seems to be these days a rather parochial practice here of deferring to the commissioner of each district to solve any and all problems these representative jurisdictions might have, and to come finally to the full Board of County Commissioners for stamps of approval, actions, and any other county commitments. This practice is not working for the West Plains. We ask that you all pay close attention to our hurting part of your community and its many problems. We are a rather important and certainly growing part of Spokane County. We believe your closer attention and action could be a catalyst for solutions. In many respects, we really all are a part of this greater community. In that regard, we sincerely request that, as a full board, you begin now to take a proactive role in helping us navigate this troubling future.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes
To start,
is up.
we
Sir?
suggest you
Sir?
call.
Your 3 minutes is up. That was the sound. So thank you.
Very well.
Next, I have Julian McHugh.
will speak as rapidly as I can. 3 minutes is certainly not enough to convey the troublesome conditions that we have. Julia McHugh, 1514 North Grove Road. I am a resident of the West Plains Palisades neighborhood, living with groundwater contamination, as are many of my neighbors outside the Fairchild Air Force Base PFAS study. 411 of our wells were sampled by EPA this spring for the first time. 300 of them have PFAS, 57% have 236 wells. So that times 4, say, for the number of impacted residents, have PFAS levels above drinking water standards. We West Plains well owners, residents, and taxpayers are highly concerned for our health and property values due to this contamination of our sole source of drinking water. At your January 8th, 24 strategic briefing meeting, you addressed in detail the logistics of putting an aquifer protection area issue on the spring 2025 ballot. The next day at your public meeting, and again today, I referenced the West Plains contributions and impacts table to show you that we are all in this together. Our reminder is that the functions and diverse services provided by the facilities on the West Plains are a benefit to many thousands in our region. We take the garbage, we get the prisoners, we have the landfills, we have the flight lines that move thousands, hundreds of thousands of passengers, and also ensure military preparedness. It would seem rather important. The Spokane Valley, Rathdrum Prairie, and the West Plains Aquifer Systems are our collective resource. Both warrant long-term protective measures provided through ballot-approved public funds. The West Plains is rapidly being converted from rural to intense urban uses, and the threat that this poses to our West Plains groundwater, and ultimately the Spokane River that is connected to the paleo channels on the West Plains, are of great concern to all of your constituents. All of your constituents. 40 years of Spokane Valley, Rathdrum Prairie aquifer protection has been and is an ongoing success. Hooray! But these efforts and measures must be extended to include the severely impacted West Plains aquifer. I have 3 asks. We constituents ask you to first, as a board, as the entire board, to help us pass this joint spring 2025 Spokane Aquifer Protection Area ballot that includes both the Spokane Valley Rathdrum Prairie Aquifer, which is separate and distinct from the West Plains Aquifer. Many of you folks don't know that. 2, open 2 citizen seats on this now currently informal collection of West Plains cities, Airway Heights, Medical Lake, Cheney, and Four Lakes, which I suggested last January, and it's focused on safe drinking water. We have unique insights, and we all live on wells, and none of you do, and the conditions that are likely unknown to this informal coalition. Mr. French is leading this group, and I'll directly ask you to open up 2 citizen seats to provide. And then finally, hold these meetings at night. If you want representative government, that's what you have to do. It will help all of us. And expand this to 5 minutes, because 3 minutes is absurd. I can't think that you can understand me speaking
Julie,
this rapidly.
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, again.
Okay, next I have Becky Dickerhoof. I said it correctly, right? Thank you. It just took sitting next to you at the baseball game to figure it out.
Hello, Becky Dickerhoof, Spokane City. Recently, local news has been updating the Spokane area on the progress of rebuilding after the Elk and Gray fires last year. Natural disasters play a significant role in homelessness. Homelessness caused by disaster is cyclical. Disasters like wildfires cause the displacement of housed and unhoused people alike. And short-term events like evacuations, stopgap measures like temporary housing and camping may be sufficient to meet needs, but when disasters damage or destroy housing, survivors may seek permanent solutions like new housing, only to find such additional housing unavailable because it was also destroyed, and other scarcity at play in the real estate market broadly. This leads to increased difficulty in finding housing that is available and affordable. The residents displaced by the fires often found shelter with friends and family, called couch surfing, defined as homelessness. They relied on the Red Cross if they could not find shelter with family or friends, becoming by definition homeless. Some were able to acquire RVs to park on someone's property or even a street outside family or friends' homes, effectively violating city ordinances. Others found rental properties they could afford, decreasing the supply of homes. Many of those residents did not have adequate insurance coverage, so they cannot afford to rebuild on their own property. This has put further pressure on the supply of housing in the Spokane area. As we have seen, wildfires have become a common occurrence in the inland Northwest, and there is every indication this will continue to be a part of our landscape. We need to use our resources to build more affordable housing, but we also must build houses that reduce the risk of loss to wildfires. That will require leadership committed to building codes that reduce the vulnerability of homes to natural disasters, and that comes at a higher cost. The organizations committed to low-income and affordable housing need help to provide housing that is safer and affordable. They need help to fill the gap of years of not keeping pace with housing needs. We can point fingers to past leadership, but that will not solve the problem. What we need now is effective leadership to step up and use their available resources to support those organizations who are trying to make a difference. We need leadership to support those among us who do not have the resources to provide housing for their families without help. I'm here today to ask the county commissioners to enact what is commonly referred to as 1590 tax. This ordinance, which amend RCW.82.14.530, allows the county legislative authority to impose a sales and use tax not to exceed 0.1% of the selling price in the case of a sales tax or value of the article used in case of a use tax. Thank you.
Thank you. And next I have Levi Skeen.
I do have a question before we start. I have a statement here from somebody else. Am I able to add that to my statement as well, or just stick to my own? Like, for instance, if I say a
You
truck
have
is...
3 minutes total.
3 minutes total, gotcha.
And
Okay.
so if you have a written statement, you are able to give that to the clerk if you wanted to do that.
Gotcha, okay.
So if you just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Levi Skeen, and I live at 22005 East Rowan.
Okay,
It's
and then
regard-
your 3 minutes will start, and then you'll see the clock up there as well.
We're good? All right. From August 30th through September 9th, Sunrise Trucking and Winkler Trucking ran a dirt moving operation through the neighborhoods of East Joseph, McKenzie, and Rowan Avenue from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. McKenzie is a local access only, but it's not listed as so on the map. So apparently we're going to update that, right? Because it has been local access only for years. The route they used was Star Road, Joseph, McKenzie, Rowan, and Harvard. The only route they are legally allowed to use, should have been used, was Star Road to Trent to Harvard Road. So there was over 100 trips were taken through the McKenzie route. What they were doing was...
So Mr. Skeen?
Yes.
So I believe, do you want to testify during our public hearing for that item? This is for items that are not on our agenda today.
That would be lovely.
Okay.
You want to go take a seat?
And so yes, I believe you're wanting to speak to item 6E.
6E, yeah, it said E, and I wasn't sure which number to put on there.
No,
so,
that's very good. I apologize.
Yep, no problem. No problem. So have a seat?
So yes, so have a seat, and
All
then
right.
when we get to 6E, I'll call you back up.
Thank you so much.
Okay, no, thank you. Can I have this form back? I see. Thank you. I'm just going to make a note of that, so that way we get you back up here. Thank you. Sorry about that. So then, is there anyone else who would, we have someone online. Oh. Tim B. Who wants, okay. Let me just make,
I'm good because it's on the agenda, so I'll wait.
okay. So this is, again, a time for open public forum for any items that are not on our agenda. And so if there's anyone else that would like to testify at our open public forum, okay, I do see someone who's raised their hand. Jorgen?
Yeah, that's me. Jan Astelten. Also against 6E. I would like to speak on that behalf.
Okay, so at that time, when I call the public hearing for that item, we'll have you speak at that point. Thank you. Okay, so anyone else who would like to testify on any items that are not on our agenda today? I am not seeing anyone in the audience or anyone online. I will then, this is my third and final call. I will close the open public forum, and look to my fellow commissioners, other than we will be taking item 5N separately, and I do need to state, I got notification, we had it in front of us. When I stated early on that there was no written comment for today's agenda, for today's items, that is not true, that we do have 2 items that were received that were written testimony for item 6D and also one for 6E. So I just need to make note of that.
Those were the public hearing.
And those are for a public hearing, but, okay, yes, you're welcome to hand that to her. So, so we did receive a couple items that are on for our public hearing items that have been received. So just want to state that for the record. And then I will look to my fellow commissioners for all items but 6 or 5N.
Madam Chair, I move to approve items 3, A, B, and C, item 4A, and items 5A through M.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for items 3, A through C, 4A, and 5A through M. Any further discussion on those items? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously for the commissioners that are here, and I should, for the record, state that we have 4 commissioners that are present: Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Kearns, Commissioner Cuney, and Commissioner French. Thank you. I'm just like forgetting all my stuff today. So that will take us then to item 5N. So would you like to make a motion or speak to it? Okay.
Madam Chair, I move to approve item 5N.
He's not seconding.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item number 5N. Any further discussion? Commissioner Jordan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to speak to this briefly. We spoke about it in our briefing this morning. This item relates to proposed restrictions on wind energy projects in the county. And just as it stands now, I'm not satisfied with the process that's brought us to today's vote. I don't believe that we have followed our best practices for an open and transparent process to get to today's vote. Typically, we would provide about almost 2 weeks of notice to the public before we take votes on most items. In this case, the public's really only had about 2 business days because the briefing and the vote were set on the same day, which is usually reserved for truly time-sensitive or non-complex issues. We did receive a presentation this morning, which I appreciate, but we only received that during the meeting. It wasn't posted publicly in the typical correct location, so I wasn't able to review it ahead of time, and the public wasn't either. As our planning director indicated this morning, it would have been best practice, although not legally required, to first ask our appointed planning commission for a recommendation before taking today's vote, but we don't yet have input from them, and there hasn't been a specific hearing on this matter before the planning commission. So I know the board can bypass that, but I think that we should have gone with that best practice given just the complexity of the issue. I'm also, a couple other concerns. I'm struggling to understand what the rush is now to move this forward after we originally had a study session or a strategic planning session on this topic in May, but we're moving forward quickly now. But when we spoke in May, the plan, as I understood it, was to come back and answer some of the questions that were raised by commissioners in that study session, but instead we've moved right to a same-day briefing and vote on advancing a specific ordinance for consideration. And I'm especially struggling with that rush, or that apparent rush, when we all know as the board that any regulation that we pass on this topic can be made null and void by the state at their sole discretion. Anyone who is proposing a wind energy project may ultimately not be required to follow any rules that we pass as the county due to a state board called FSEC, which can bypass our local rules. It is true, as we talked about this morning, that the state may consider local restrictions on these wind energy projects when it makes its determinations. But I think if we truly want our local regulations to be persuasive, we should engage in a more thoughtful, deliberative process of exploring both the concerns that we want to try to mitigate, as well as benefits that these projects may bring to our region. And so I think that we should understand in greater depth as a board what that state process looks like, what those existing state standards are, before we're looking at specific ordinances in the next month or so. So some of the questions I had back in May that I hoped we'd kind of have answered and discussed in deeper detail really relate primarily to economic development potential. There were a lot of concerns expressed about wind energy projects this morning. Those are worth talking about. But before we look at restrictions, I want to know what are the upsides as well. How does wind energy help us reduce carbon pollution and address climate change? How does wind energy create construction and other jobs in the trades for workers in our community? What kinds of revenues may be generated for farmers who may have access to new income sources? What kinds of revenues might be generated for local governments in taxes? How may restrictions impact our energy providers like Avista or others who have clean energy production goals and plans that they need to implement and meet? So I was hoping that by this point we would have heard back from some of those folks before we put pen to paper with specific draft ordinances. And then another question is, if there are upsides and job creation and benefits, do we want to look for ways to encourage such projects in our county in certain places where it makes the most sense to do so? So this ordinance draft that we're voting on initiating was apparently based on Whitman County's existing ordinance, but it does appear that a few of the requirements may be a bit more restrictive than Whitman County, and I don't think we've had a real full discussion at this point of why that is. So those are the reasons that I'm unsatisfied with the process that brought us to today's vote. So I'll be voting no, but that being said, I do want to state up front that I understand this is a beginning of a formal process of considering this draft ordinance. It will involve further opportunities for public comment. It will involve our planning commission. And so I certainly look forward to the opportunity to continue getting these questions answered, talking with my colleagues, with our staff, any interested stakeholders, learning more, and hopefully having a robust study and dialogue around this issue. I'm hoping that we come up with a final ordinance that is reasonable and balanced and accomplishes all of our goals. So it's not a final vote, of course, on the ultimate ordinance today, and I'm not ruling out any consideration of future reasonable proposals. Thank you.
Commissioner Kearns.
Thank you. I'd like to read an email that I actually just got from our planning director. This was sent to all of us. It says, Commissioners, this was noticed to the public and posted for inspection 2 weeks before the Planning Commission meeting on August 15th. While the Planning Commission did not hold a hearing at that time, they offered commentary, and there was a range of comments and concerns, but they informally supported moving to initiation. So there will be a public comment, a public hearing held on this. It will be at the Planning Commission level. I had staff at the meeting last week. Ron was there on my behalf, from what I understand. Commissioner Waldrop also had her staff at the Planning Commission meeting, and I assume she was briefed, as I was briefed by my staff on this issue as well. To the point of local control and the state being able to preempt us, that's nothing new in Washington State. I can remember when I was chair, I would have to initial and sign for no on the location of pot shops in our community that didn't meet our local zoning around those cannabis retailers, because the state can come in and preempt it. I've yet to have a single person in this community come up and say, well, we should do away with all of our local zoning as far as pot shops, because the state can just come in and preempt it anyway. This is no different. This is us getting work done. This is us doing the work of the people. We will move forward. There will be public
comment opportunities for anybody who would like to. At the Planning Commission, as usual, this is just initiating. We are not enacting the text amendment today. Long process ahead of us. Just wanted to clear up some of those concerns. And as stated by our planning director, this was posted 2 weeks prior to the Planning Commission meeting, which was held on August 15th. Just want to set the record straight for everybody. Thank you.
Commissioner French.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When we are dealing with a text change, and what this is a text change to our codes, it can be initiated for a variety of different ways. It could be initiated through the public. It could be initiated through the Planning Commission. It can also be initiated by the Board of County Commissioners. While I've sat on this board, there have been a number of times where the Board of County Commissioners has initiated a text change in the code to address a problem that we have heard out in the community. We are that conduit between the community and staff and process. And so when we hear something from the community, it's our duty to bring that forward and see how we can address the concerns raised by the public. And that's what this is starting to do. It's starting a process. This is not the end of the process. This is the very beginning of a process. There'll be plenty of time for public comment, for input. And so where did this come from? I can tell you that earlier this year, I, along with our planning director, at my request for the planning director to be there, had a meeting with a company that comes into Spokane looking to try and do a wind farm. And we expressed to them that, one, we don't have a code in place to address that, but we shared with them some concerns that we had with regard to environmental impacts, impacts on birds of prey, as well as golden bald eagles, as well as access, the electrical grid, and a variety of other things. A lot of times people will come and say, I've got an idea, and the idea will die of a natural death because it either wasn't fully fleshed out or premature or a variety of different issues. But when that idea has the ability to mature, then you want to try and put brackets around it so that we protect the quality of life that we have here, so that we protect the environment, so that we integrate whatever those ideas are into the rest of the system that we have. That's what this process is starting to do. It's starting to engage the public, starting to engage the industry, starting to engage folks that have a role or a stakeholder in this process. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The very beginning of the process. So before we start to make assumptions about the outcome, let's go through the process. With regard to what the state might or might not do, quite frankly, I don't want to wait until I see what the state is going to do to me. I've already seen that with the Building Code Council and imposing building restrictions that fit on the other side of the state but not here, like forcing the elimination of natural gas, which works very well on the other side of the state, but not here. And other regulations that work for the other side of the state, not here. I would rather fight for my citizens here in Spokane County than wait and be the subject of whatever the other side of the state chooses to do to us. So I'm here to represent the folks that voted me into office and to represent their interests to make sure that we protect not only our quality of life, but their environment and what are the potential energy sources we're going to live with for the next several decades. So I fully support starting the process because that's all we're doing. We're just starting the process. Thank you.
So I'll be supporting this as well, as this is starting the process, and it is an important process for us to have something for the county to have on our books. And so there is also a process that is going on with WASAC, the Washington State Association of Commissioners, across the state, that is looking at what the impacts are for these wind and solar projects for citizens. And so as I stated earlier in the meeting today, that this is just the beginning of this process. It's going to be an ongoing process. It's, changing and evolving. I swear it seems like every moment. There's new things that are happening. There's property tax implications that are happening to citizens out there. Revenue that is from property tax that is being generated, but then as depreciation occurs, that puts some of the burden onto other taxpayers. And so there's unintended consequences to some of these things. And on our committee that we have right now, one of our state representatives from the west side is on it and realizing some of the unintended consequences. And so, again, it's a process that we're starting. We want to have input. I have potential for some wind farms to be going in South County that I think that's part of why I've had a lot of citizens contact me from my district that want to have something on the books, so we at least have something that is there so that as it does go to the state committee, they are looking at what is being enacted at the local level. So again, as the commissioners all said, this is just the start of the process. The Planning Commission will be taking this and looking under advisement, and we'll all be paying very close attention and can get further answers, even during the process, the commissioners can be, so we can get answers to questions as this will come back before us in its due process. So with that, any other comments? Seeing none, I have a motion on the table for item 5N. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 3-1. That then will take us to our public hearing items that we have today, and we have several. So we're going to start with item 6A, which is to consider amending and renewing the telecommunications franchise granted to FatBeam LLC. And Deborah Firkins, I guess we'll have you for the next few.
Yes, you will. Good evening, Commissioners. The first one I'm doing is considering amending and renewing the telecommunications franchise granted to FatBeam. FatBeam LLC is a telecommunications company that on August 28th, 2012, Spokane County granted a franchise number 12-0692 that included 3 roads. And on March 6, 2018, they requested another 2 roads be added to their franchise, which became franchise number 18-200. They've now have increased their service area and wish to cover all of Spokane County and renew their franchise for another 15 years. The Public Works Department recommends that you grant this franchise.
Are there any questions for Ms. Perkins? No? Okay, thank you. So this is a public hearing item, so I will open up the public hearing for item number 6A on today's agenda. Seeing no one in the audience and no one online. Second call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6A. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item 6A. Seeing no one online and no one in the audience, I will close the public hearing and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 6A and consider amending and renewing the telecommunications franchise granted to FatBeam LLC.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to item number 6B, to consider amending the telecommunications franchise granted to Nightcom, Inc. for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Nightcom, Inc. is a telecommunications company that serves the Deer Park area. On February 21st, 2023, Spokane County granted Nightcom, Inc. Company a franchise number 23-0138 for 15 years with 2 optional 5-year extensions. Currently, Nightcom's franchise only includes 2 county roads, Spotted and Montgomery roads. They have requested that additional roads be added to their current franchise with the county. The original franchise boy, I redid that, sorry. They now expanded their service area and are requesting an amendment to their franchise to include numerous county roads as shown on the attached map. The Public Works Department recommends that the franchise be granted.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Ms. Perkins? Seeing none. Okay, this is a public hearing item once again, and so I will open up the public hearing for item 6B. Anyone wanting to testify on item 6B? Okay, I'm seeing no one online and no one in the audience, and that is my second call so third call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6B. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 6B, amending the telecommunications franchise granted to Nightcom Inc. for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item number 6B. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That will take us to item number 6C on today's agenda, which is to consider renewing the telecommunications franchise granted to Zayo Group LLC for the Spokane County Public Works Department. Ms. Perkins.
Zayo Group LLC is a telecommunications company again that has a franchise that covers all of Spokane County. Zayo started building its network in Spokane County area in 2013 and is continuing to grow. On November 5th, 2013, Spokane County granted Zayo Group LLC a franchise, which is number 13-1023 for a period of 10 years. Zayo has requested to renew their franchise for another 15 years. The Public Works Department recommends that this franchise be granted.
Any questions? Seeing none, okay. I will open up the public testimony for item number 6C on today's agenda. Second call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6C. Seeing no one in the audience and no one online, third and final call. I'm seeing no one, so I will close the public testimony and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 6C in renewing the telecommunications franchise granted to Zayo Group LLC for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item number 6C. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Perkins, and then this will take us to Mr. Zarecor. So this is for item 6D, which is to consider revising Spokane County Traffic Code section number 46.61.5701, no parking on Quinamos Road for the Spokane County Public Works Department. I do want to state that on 6D, we did receive one public comment item. And so, Mr. Zarecor, I'll let you go.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. And as stated, we're here to consider a no parking code revision on this section of Quinamos from 450 feet south of Moultrie Road to 900 feet west of Broken Lance Road. You can see the area shown in red here on the overhead. And this is obviously in the far east part of the county. The reason being, this is very similar to the Fruit Hill no parking that we had last week. It's another area with really a great view of the valley, but also really challenging for law enforcement and for some of the neighbors. There's been a lot of undesirable activity in the area. And kind of our new threshold for no parking, if law enforcement says they need that tool in their toolbox to help deal with a situation in an area, we try and support them and accommodate that request. So we have been contacted by the Sheriff's Department. They've requested that we do put up these no parking signs. There's been kind of a long history with this. We originally had some signs that said no parking on the asphalt, but that was difficult for them to enforce, and it left quite a bit of area that wasn't signed no parking. So we're hoping this will help resolve the situation for the neighbors, and happy to answer any questions, but we do recommend approving this code revision.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, with that, this is a public hearing item, so I'll open up the public testimony for item 6D. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to testify on 6D? Is there anyone online? Okay, I've seen, oh, I'm hearing. Okay, so Tim B., if you would unmute,
I'm here.
and you will have 3 minutes to speak at the testimony for 6B.
Perfect. I just want to touch on the items that were covered in relation to parking along this road. There are a number of blind corners, and individuals will park on the side of the road where there is maybe only several feet to park. So their cars stick out into the roadway, making for a very dangerous driving situation. Because it is a nice view, and there are certain parts where there is more space to park on the roadway. There may be at times 5, 10, or even 15 cars, motorcycles, etc., that are parking to look at the sunset in very unsafe places, because again, these are very sharp corners on this road. And we have had a number of different accidents, but also because people are now loitering, staying overnight, there has been higher crime and as well as vandalism and other problems with the crowds that are staying for hours or even overnight. So it's creating a consistent problem with not just safety as we drive. We're having people stay and hang out in the middle of the road because it is kind of more of a rural destination for folks. People are starting to park and kind of wander on residential property and create conflict there because they're wanting to actually trespass and set up picnics on people's yards. And that's kind of creating kind of an unsafe or conflictive environment. And so we're really wanting to discourage the parking on this road. It's not really safe. It's not meant to be a view area. There are other places the county and the Department of Transportation have created where folks can turn off. This is not really one of those areas that's destined to be used for public viewing. So I just wanted to add some of the things that we have come across in this area with consistent, again, challenges with just traversing this road, especially at night when there are many, many cars parked on the side of the road. So we're asking just to not have any parking at all, because even on the side of the road, it's still creating safety concerns. That is all.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So then we have other people. So Lois Quinn.
Hi, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay. I own a portion of that property that we're asking for the no parking zones. We've had, as was said, a lot of issues. Just in the last week, I asked somebody to leave the property and he offered to murder me and chased my car down the hill and flipped me off, shook his fingers at me. It was frightening, frightens me now to even repeat it. But if people weren't allowed to park there, we've had people tell us the sheriff told them that they could park on our property as long as they didn't park on the pavement. So these no parking signs won't cure everything, but they will certainly help, and they will give us and the police the opportunity to ask people to leave quietly and protect us. Over the years, I've had my property more than 20 years. Over the years, we've had multiple times where people just lay out blankets and sit down and start lighting fireworks. We all have wells here. If a fire happens, which has happened east of us, it has to be fought by planes or on foot. And I'm hoping that trying to convince people this isn't public property, it isn't a public place for them to hang out and party all night long. Last night we had a whole band set up. It was lovely. So I really wish this would go through, and I appreciate the police department's efforts to try to help save our area and protect us. Thank you.
Thank you. So next I have Stephanie C. And I apologize, I should have you state your full name and address for the record.
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is Stephanie Cummings, and my address is 22810 East Red Feather Lane. So I actually live just a ways down, but I have to pass through this area every single day, multiple times a day. So I just really want to comment basically that it's a traffic hazard. There has been several times I come around this blind corner and almost hit cars head on, or even individual, people walking through the roadway, and I'm afraid I'm going to run one over at some point because they are not paying attention. They are also sometimes doing undesirable activities in the back of their vehicles. And like another individual had just stated, right, fireworks are being set off. And that is one of my biggest fears, that my backyard is going to be set on fire and I will lose everything. It has been a challenge with insurance, for example, for homeowners because of a fire risk, and we are getting dropped in the neighborhood because of those things. And so I just worry if we have a fire large enough, then we won't be able to obtain insurance and we'll be in a similar situation to the Gray fires and others. So really encourage this be passed as well, and appreciate everything law enforcement has been able to do and being able to respond, but would like to discourage the activity if at all possible. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to testify on item number 6D? Not seeing anyone else in the audience or anyone else online. Oh, do we have, usually that sound means somebody is raising their hand. Okay, I have Matt Applegate. If you can please state your full name and address for the record, that'd be great. And you'll have 3 minutes. Matt, we can't hear you. Matt Applegate, we saw you raise your hand, but we're not getting any volume. Okay, so we see your hand is raised, and we see you're off mute, but for some reason there's no volume coming through for us. I don't know. Since we can't hear you, maybe can you put in the chat? Can they do a chat, just whether you're pro or con? No? Oh, I guess you can't do that. Okay. Yeah, I guess we could ask if you're in favor or opposed to it and do a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Yeah. Sorry, we're not getting anything. If you're in, maybe I'll just ask, if you're in favor of it, Mr. Applegate, if you wanted to raise your hand again, and then we'll at least be able to recognize that you're in favor of this. Okay, I'm not seeing your hand get raised, so I'm assuming that you're not in favor? Oh, try again. We saw.
Okay, are you there?
There we go. Okay.
Sorry,
That's
technology's not my strong suit.
No, it's.
I'll be quick. I'll be quick.
No worries.
My address is 4302 South Quinamos. Lived there for 25 years before any other houses were up there. My full name's Matthew Applegate. I would suggest if we're going to do a ban of parking, to continue it all the way down to Henry Road and not just the top part of Quinamos. Because I think the unintended consequence is going to be that the people that park are just going to end up moving to different places on Quinamos. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, and I agree, I feel horrible for the people that have built their dream home and get a look at these teenagers that absolutely have complete disregard for any homeowner that's in that area. So I mean, it's going to turn into an incident, and it's going to be unfortunate. So I really plead that you guys put forth an effort to make this happen, but I would do it the entirety of Quinnamos.
Very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.
And I believe as we spoke last week at our meeting on the no parking for a different road for Fruit Hill, that I believe the Public Works Department will take that into consideration. They'll be monitoring if there's more complaints. If you're seeing the traffic move further down, please call the sheriff's office or please call our Public Works Department so that they can pay attention and monitor that as these no parking signs go up, if the vote happens unanimously or in favor. Okay, so we still are in an open public forum. Are there any, this is last call for item number 6D. Okay. Yes, you need to come up to the microphone. And then since you're in person, we'll have you fill out one of these forms once you're done. So please just state your name and address for the record, and then you can start.
My name is Lisa Goodfellow, and my husband and I live just above the area that on Broken Lance. We're at 23409 Broken Lance. We are just above the majority part of the Quinnamos where we see all of the activity. And we have had them come up our property many times, onto our property, as well as park on both sides. And what we've witnessed, because we're in the section that they're putting these signs, it's pretty clear. There are no trees or no cover, which is why it's so popular for people to park there. But I want to say that we do have a lot of teenagers there, but we also have all ages. It's not just the teenagers. A lot of cars are parked with their headlights on at the guardrail, on a corner at the guardrail at night, and on the wrong side of the road. So when you're driving on that road, you see the headlights in your lane, and it's very jarring. You're having to swerve into oncoming traffic, basically, to avoid them. So it is a very dangerous part of Quinnamos, and there is parking going on all along Quinnamos. It is an area where they are there to see the views because it is so open, and it does face the western side of the county. So I do recommend and hope that you pass this motion for these no parking signs. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, that was my third and final call. Is there any one more person?
Come on down.
And again, Shelley, if you want to give her one of those, we'll just have you fill out one of these forms when you're done.
Sorry, since all my neighbors, so many of my neighbors have spoken, so I feel I can add a few
yes, and if you please state your name and address for the record.
So my name is Shu Wen Wang. I've been living on Broken Lance Lane, just up like 200 or 300 feet up like Lisa's house, pretty close. We have to drive through that part of the road at least, 2 or 3 times every day. And as all the rest of my neighbors have stated, it is a very dangerous, place to drive through, Another thing is, as Lois pointed out, some neighbors have been threatened by some of those people down there when they were told not to trespass. And another point I'd like to make is that 2 years ago, in the end of July, my house has a break-in. So, and then I heard recently another house had like a attempted break-in. So I think all these adding together, make us feel very unsafe. And I sincerely hope that the revision will be approved and possibly extended further up to the cul-de-sac of the broken lands. Maybe in the future that can be considered. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you. And I will say, yes, just because this is the portion we're doing today, if there's more issues, then please reach out to the Sheriff's Department or to our County Roads Department. Okay. Anyone else wishing to testify on item number 6D? That is I'm not seeing anybody, so I'm now going to close the public testimony for item 6D and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 6D in revising Spokane County Traffic Code section number 46.61.5701, no parking, Quinamos Road for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item number 6D. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That will then take us to item number 6E on today's agenda, which is to consider revising Spokane County Traffic Code number 46.44.0802, restricted traffic, no trucks over 16,000 pounds, I believe, Rowan Avenue, McKenzie Road, and Joseph Avenue for the Spokane County Public Works Department. Mr. Zarecor.
Thank you again, Commissioner. As stated, we're here to entertain posting these sections of road, no trucks over 16,000 pounds. And you can see the sections of Rowan, McKenzie, and Joseph up on the screen here that are shown in red. Those are the roadways we're proposing to put that posting on. A couple different reasons. We were approached by the neighborhood. There were some concerns about the trucks running through the neighborhood between Harvard and Star Road. And upon further review of those roadways, those are, one, they're local access roads, but they're also kind of old farm to market roads that are light bituminous surface. They aren't asphalt. They aren't built for that kind of loading. And that's another great concern for us. As you know, we have a very large roadway system we need to maintain, and we need to take care of the system that we have. And there's really no particularly compelling reason that we could see for having trucks on these portions of these roads. Harvard and Star are both very major arterials, and obviously Trent to the north and I-90 to the south for east-west. So happy to answer any questions, but we would recommend posting these roadways no trucks.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Zarecor? I would just say thank you, because I believe you and I were out together at a community meeting talking about when Wellesley was getting closed for work. So so I appreciate, County Roads taking the opportunity to go look at the roads and to be out there. So thank you for that and being responsive.
You bet. Thank you.
So with that, then, this is an open public, this is a public hearing item for 6E, and I do have Levi Skeen. I'll have you come up now. And again, if you want to state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
3 minutes. All right, my name is Levi Skeen. I live at 22005 East Rowan Avenue. 2021, August 30th through September 9th, Sunrise Trucking and Winkler Trucking ran a dirt moving operation through the neighborhoods of Joseph, McKenzie, and Rowan Avenue. McKenzie is local access only according to the sign. It has been for years. It's just not updated on the map. The route they used was Star Road to Joseph Road to McKenzie Road, Rowan to Harvard. The routes they should have been using was straight down Star Road to Trent to Harvard. There was over 100 trips taken down this road. By the way, Rowan is 20 feet wide, okay? So if you can just imagine a fully loaded dump truck with a trailer, fully loaded, speeding, probably overweight. So, there was estimated 3 loads per hour, which is basically every 15, 20 minutes for an 8-hour period. They were traveling over these things, over 100 loads. Ending on September 9th. What they moved was topsoil from the southern property of McKenzie. That pile is over 60 feet tall on their yard right now. Okay, so I'm going to start with Cloyd Huff here. He's on McKenzie, 5710 North McKenzie Road. I'm going to start halfway through his statement here. Because I'm not an expert, he is. Being a retired law enforcement officer, Idaho State Patrol, I've been previously trained in traffic investigation and in speed law enforcement, which includes estimation of speed. I realize the local police agencies have priority calls of duty, and traffic enforcement is not too high on priority. I had not reported the speeding problem I should have to the local police. During this past summer and fall, I have witnessed the Sunrise gravel trucks and other trucks speeding in the excessive posted 25 miles per hour while passing by 2 local children returning home from the bus stop. Unfortunately, this is a common driving behavior on McKenzie Road where locals are walking and jogging and riding on their bikes, sorry about that. He has since moved to Idaho. He's moved back to Idaho. We chased him out. I have lived, this statement is from Anthony McNair. I have lived in the neighborhood for 20 years. I've rode my bike for about the same amount of time. I've been run off the road by these trucks twice in the last 2 years. Okay, I have video of this. If you want to see it, I'll gladly show it to you. Like I said, 18-wheeler, 20-foot wide road. He said his handlebars were literally over in the gravel. Okay, so this is the same code that we have on Harvard and Wellesley. If this affects your business, how have you been operating at Otis this entire time? What is the definition? My second is, what is the definition of local access? What are they going to be actually restricted to? Is it just each particular road? Because obviously they're traveling back and forth. And then if this is put through, are we going to get an emphasis patrol to actually, enforce this law, to actually start out on a good foot with telling them they are no longer allowed to use this route? Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, and we did receive another written comment in favor as well. So would anyone else like to testify on item number 6E on today's agenda? We have somebody online. Okay, Jorgen Rasmussen,
Yes, you got that right. I'm Jan Rasmussen on 5711 North McKinsey Road. Thanks for the opportunity to testify here briefly. And I can only second the traffic pattern along those 3 roads in questions are just sometimes horrendous, especially in regard to heavy trucks. I also would like to add that the number of speeders, especially coming down McKinsey, has been significant. I have seen 100-mile-an-hour cars chasing each other down McKinsey. Not a very safe situation. So speed limits definitely needs to be enforced on these smaller county roads. I would also state the possibility, if you look at the map, if possible, I would strongly recommend that the train crossing at McKinsey, or the train exit, essentially, not a crossing, would be closed so it doesn't become a through traffic area. You will do 2 things. You will increase the safety significantly at that intersection, and also it would reduce the noise contamination from the horns from the trains coming through there on a daily basis. I understand it is federal law that they have to use a horn at crossings, but if it gets closed, then at least these neighborhoods will not be affected. I appreciate the opportunity to testify, and I will open the floor to questions or comments. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there any? Yep. Okay, no, feel free, come and state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Joseph Campbell. I live at 22017 East Rowan Avenue. Just like a quick note, Harvard comes down right next to Rowan there. It's a straight through shot from the freeway to Liberty Lake to Trent. It's a heavily traveled road. The county just came in and resurfaced. They did a wonderful job. But in the evening, or in the high traffic times, morning commute, evening commute, a train comes by. What happens? Their only place, they can't go to the left from Wellesley to Trent. They can't go to the left. There's no exit out that way. So they take this road as an exit to beat the train to get onto Trent. Or if there's a heavy backup onto Trent from Harvard, that's where they're going to go. They take that first exit. As a matter of fact, there's a nursery there on the corner. They cut through their gravel parking lot to get to Rowan, to hit that route, to beat that train. And it's really evident. I mean, that's why they're speeding so much. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to testify on item 6E? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone else in the audience or anyone else online. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6E. I will close the public testimony and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 6E in revising Spokane County Traffic Code section number 46.44.0802, restricted traffic, no trucks over 16,000 pounds, Rowan Avenue, McKenzie Road, and Joseph Avenue for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item number 6E, and I am going to just make one further comment that I'm going to thank the citizens that have come down to testify. I think when I was out at the open house that, you know, Levi, you came and talked to me, and Jan, you came and talked to me, and so, and with Mr. Zaracord there too, that I think that shows why it's important for us as commissioners to listen and to, you know, be responsive and, you know, for the county roads to go out and take a look at it. And so I'm really excited that we could make this happen for the safety of the families and the kids that are in that area, because having heavy construction equipment trucks on narrow roads is not safe. So, so I'm looking forward to this. So I don't know if somebody else raised their hand, but I did close the public testimony. So at this point, I will just ask for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. So thank you very much. That will then take us to item number 6F, which is to consider revising Spokane County Traffic Code section number 46.615701, no parking on Rudder Parkway Road for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Thank you again, Commissioner. We're here on another no parking request, and you can see this section, Rudder Parkway. There you can see the little Spokane River winding through, and this is near its confluence with the Spokane River. So we've had a number of requests. The most recent one came from the Parks Department. They are proposing to put a new parking lot kind of directly north of the word Rudder Parkway along the red alignment there. And they're hoping, one, that will help alleviate the need for people to park along the roadway, but they're also having concerns about people walking and parking along here. So they've requested it. We've had other citizens reaching out. A lot of the Keenan Lane folks have called and have concerns about the parking along the roadway. Very similar reason. That obstructs sight distance. People can't see well enough, and concerned about kids running out from behind cars and different things from a safety standpoint. We agree with all that. We've seen that firsthand, and we're happy to support this initiative to post no parking signs in this area. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. I will then open up the public testimony for item number 6F on today's agenda. I am not seeing anyone in the audience or online, and I don't have anyone pre-signed up. Second call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6F. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6F. Seeing no one in the audience and no one online, I will close the public testimony on item number 6F and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 6F in revising Spokane County Traffic Code, section number 46.61.5701, no parking Rudder Parkway Road for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
I have a motion second for item number 6F. Any further conversation? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That takes us then to item number 6G on today's agenda, which is to consider revising Spokane County Traffic Code section number 46.61.50. That wouldn't be right because that's the same number as above. So I just want to make sure for the record we get the right number in. Or are all these the same?
It's the same
Same
code
section
section.
number. Okay,
Yeah, they're all
sorry.
no parking
Okay.
requests.
Sorry.
No, that's
Just,
great.
you
Appreciate
know,
the check.
Just looking right at them.
Wouldn't be the first time.
So no parking, Wellesley Avenue for Spokane County Public Works Department.
All right, thank you again, Commissioner. Last but not least, we have Wellesley Avenue. Must be kind of a no day. This is our fourth no parking, no trucks hearing. On this one, we're out in the valley again on Upriver Drive. This is actually where Wellesley turns into Upriver Drive. You can see Plants Ferry Park is just south of this section of roadway, and that's actually what's driving the need for the no parking. During special events, they have overflow that comes out onto Upriver Drive, and historically, the Parks Department has taken it upon themselves just to take out portable no parking signs and place them along the road. But frankly, the only time people park out there is during events, so we thought we would just take the opportunity, post it no parking. It does create a lot of safety concerns, very similar. You can imagine people bringing families to sporting events, people running between cars, and just a very unsafe situation during those events. So really, during other times, there's no need to park out here. Plants Ferry has a lot of parking on site. We recommend the no parking signs, and happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you. So this is our last public hearing item. So this is public hearing item number 6G. So I'll open it up for anyone who would like to comment. I am not seeing anyone in the audience or online. Second call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6G. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6G. Seeing that, I'm not seeing anyone in the audience or online, so I will close the public testimony and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, move to approve public hearing item number 6G in revising Spokane County Traffic Code section number 46.61.5701, no parking Wellesley Avenue for the Spokane County Public Works Department.
Second.
Come on, it's the
Making
last
sure
one.
he's awake over
No
there.
notice.
Okay, I have a motion and a second finally. Is there any further discussion?
I just wanted to point out if there's any folks watching at home that are concerned about parking at Plants Ferry, there's also our Parks Department is going to be adding additional parking on the south side of Plants Ferry, so shouldn't impact operations as far as those large events because we will be adding additional parking at the facility.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, that then takes us to the end of our agenda today. Exactly, it was a long one. Mr. Simmons and Mr. Amicio, is there anything else to come before us?
I have nothing further, Commissioner.
Mr. Amicio?
Nothing further, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, then it is like 3:16, and we will adjourn the meeting for today and see everybody back next week. Thank you very much.